Hi everyone. Today we're going to be learning about figurative language. Specifically, we're going to be answering the question, what is figurative language? By the end of this video, you will be able to identify figurative language when you hear it in somebody's speech or when you see it in writing. So sometimes the words people use have a different meaning when taken literally than they do when taken figuratively. Sometimes the literal meaning of the words has a very different meaning than the intention of the words. For example, when I tell someone to break a leg, I don't really want them to get hurt. I'm wishing them good luck. So the actual words I say, break a leg, have a very different meaning than my message, which is good luck. When the words we use mean something different than what they actually say, we are using figurative language. Figurative language doesn't make sense when it's interpreted literally or when it's taken literally for one of two reasons. First of all, it could be that the literal meaning doesn't match the context. So when I'm telling my friend to break a leg before they go out and do a performance in a play, it wouldn't make sense, it wouldn't match the context that I'm telling them to get hurt. The other clue we might have to figurative language is that the literal meaning of the statement doesn't make sense or just isn't possible at all. So let's look at some examples. If I try to turn my homework in late and my teacher tells me, that ship has sailed, she isn't actually telling me about a boat that has left. That would be the literal meaning of her words, and it doesn't have anything to do with my homework. So that doesn't make sense with the context. I have to think about the context of our conversation to know if I should take her literal meaning that she's telling me a boat left, or if there might be a figurative meaning to what she's said to me. I know that my teacher isn't trying to tell me about a boat that has left when I'm trying to give her my homework, so I know that she must have a figurative meaning. I know that when she's telling me that that ship has sailed, she's telling me that it's too late. I missed my opportunity to turn in my homework. Sometimes figurative language just doesn't make sense, or it isn't possible when it's taken literally. Let's look at an example of that. So if my dad tells me that I have to wait to go outside because it's raining cats and dogs, he isn't really telling me that there are cats and dogs falling out of clouds. That would be the literal meaning of his words. And it is impossible for cats and dogs to fall out of the sky. I know he must be using figurative language because what he told me is not possible. I know my dad doesn't really think that there are cats and dogs falling out of the sky. So I know that what he said must have a figurative meaning. When he tells me it's raining cats and dogs, what he's really saying is that it is raining really hard. If something I hear or read doesn't make sense, I can ask myself, is this figurative language? Let's practice identifying figurative language. When I look for figurative language, I can ask myself these two questions. Does the statement match the context? Is the statement possible if taken literally? If the answer to these questions is no, it might be figurative language. So let's look at some example sentences. This sentence says, white cars are a dime a dozen. A dime a dozen. I know that that means you could get a dozen or 12 of them for a dime, which is 5 cents. So this sentence says, you can get 12 white cars for 5 cents? That doesn't make sense. I know that's not true. So a dime a dozen must be figurative language. Let's look at another example. Stop beating around the bush and get your work done. I don't think that I'm actually beating around a bush. I don't think that I'm running around a bush and stomping my feet. This must be figurative language, beating around the bush, because that doesn't make sense. My brother is on the ball. He always gets his chores done. My brother does always get his chores done, but he isn't standing on a ball. This must be figurative language, because if I think about the literal meaning, it just doesn't make sense. My brother isn't standing on a ball and getting his chores done. On the ball is figurative language. I was under the weather, so I didn't go to school. Under the weather. That doesn't make sense. How can I be under the weather? This must be figurative language. So once again, figurative language is language that means something different than what it literally says. I can identify figurative language by asking myself, does the statement match the context? Is this statement possible if taken literally? Now you have the tools that you need to identify figurative language. I hope that you can apply these strategies on our first assignment, identifying figurative language. Good luck!